So yeah, we can definitely see some moving under this little toe, under the other toe. So I'm going to want to correct that. And you know how I was saying that you were tight in your abdomen on the upper little toe band?
Yeah.
Right? So that's the one that's coming in from here, and it's coming around the side of the toe and then coming up here and joining in with tension that's coming from the top of the toe, coming up through here and then up into your belly where you're very, very sensitive, right?
Yeah.
And even on the other side a bit, but not as much. So that's related to this pulling that's coming this way.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is kind of get it more open, and I'm going to be working the tip of the toe with a chopstick and then on the side of it to get the roots of this. So I'm basically getting the roots of the band out. Yeah.
It's amazing what a little sensation and how big it can be.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I like this one.
And so I want to always work at within your threshold. So 10 is where basically you're going to tighten up against me.
Yep.
You can, exclaim or swear or fart or whatever you need to do. But 10 is where you're going, that's just too much, I'm going to tighten up. But I should be able to tune into that.
Yep.
But if I'm not, just tell me, okay, that's too much, or I'll sense it really. And we'll work at that level. And then I'll probably end up working between a 7 and a 10, or just under a 10. So I'm working the real tip of the toe here. How's that for you?
Yeah, it burns.
Yeah.
It's probably 8 or 9.
Okay. We can also just hold it, kind of direct a bit of pressure in there and slightly move it. I've actually found that the very tips of the toes to be incredibly important. This is something I've really discovered in the last 10 years actually.
Yeah.
How important these are.
Yeah, it's a very sharp burning pain,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
How does that relate to the actual tension, type of tension, the pain that you feel and
So
discomfort?
you can actually feel it as a band through here. You feel how I'm rolling over a band?
Yeah, I'm not missing it.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can actually, physically you can feel the band through here.
Yeah.
But you can't and then it sort of, you stop feeling it somewhere around, well, as a physical band, you stop feeling it there.
Yeah.
But it continues because you can't loosen it from here. And this spot actually loosens it. And there was an acupuncturist that taught me the importance of this spot. They stuck a needle in this spot on me and made it bleed. They actually bleed this spot. And it's like, wow, in acupuncture, these are the ends of the meridians.
Yep.
So I started to go, okay, we got to go one step at a time on what I call now a band of tension.
Yeah.
And we got to get it out from its roots. And nothing can go beyond this point, being the end of the toe.
Yeah, do they kind of just feather out as far as the physical?
Yeah, but it's still there, it's just that we can't feel it.
Yeah.
And underneath the physical is the energetic blockage, which is what is tension, right? If you look at why the muscles become tight, it's an energetic blockage.
Yeah.
And that energy can be whatever, and energy we use, obviously in English we only have certain words, in Chinese they have the qi and but I look at it as, whatever we can call it energy, because it's something subtle like a gas, or like electricity or something like that,
Yeah.
And this is the end point for not just this band, but actually a band of tension that comes through here, which you can feel, and you can physically feel it through here as a tendon, right? And it's also for this band that comes along here, which I call the outer little toe band. And you can physically feel that right there. Yeah. So all of these end up in here, and then we've got another band that's coming through here that basically we can go work up to about here with. And that can be quite intense.
Pretty honest, this entire toe's been intense.
What's that?
Yeah, all those parts have been quite intense.
Yeah, yeah. And they will be when there's when there's whatever we want to call it, an imbalance or an excess of, bad energy or whatever it is that causes tension, and which would be a blockage in the flow of qi in Chinese medicine. Yeah, as I say, so this took me a while, but now I can tune into the energetic level as well as the physical, and I can feel how much energy is stored there.
Okay.
Which is then creating what I call the anchor points for the very end of this band, which then comes right up into your tummy.
Yeah.
And that's why I say if we get it from here, and so how I've changed a lot, even since I did treatments from you 15 years ago and 10 years ago, is now I spend about 70% of my time working between about here and here, and doing an incredibly thorough job of the toes or the fingers, depending upon which band I'm working. And then the rest of it comes away really easy, and the whole thing you can get rid of.
Okay.
And what I've understood is that you can't get rid of the tension higher up if you haven't done this.
Yep.
Because it's what I call anchored or blocked. So yeah, this particular point here tends to be incredibly important. And how I work it is sometimes I'll just hold the point. Yep. And work it up to about a person's 8 or 9, yeah. and I can actually feel it kind of coming out of the chopstick, interestingly enough.
Okay, yeah, I can just feel it radiating out the ends of the other toes?
Yeah.
Not the big one, but the other side?
Yeah, the other side, so it's moving it. Because basically, what we're trying to fight is stagnation. Okay, so stagnation is what tension is, stagnant energy that causes tension. Yeah. Which is why when a person's body is dead, there's rigor mortis, there's no life flow, no flow of the life force, So we're fighting the blockage of the energy that's causing the tension, and then gradually stifling a person's life force. Which is kind of similar to the ideas of Chinese medicine and acupuncture. Yeah. And in fact, acupuncture originally was done by sharp rocks.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they didn't have needles in the ancient days,
Or pencil sharpeners.
Yeah. So again, I find that spot, and then I tune into it, and I often just hold it, and then I start to move it around a bit, just the slightest bits of movement. And I encourage you then to deep breathe into it. So it's going to be a combination of us moving this trapped energy. You're going to be deep breathing, and I'm going to be bringing your awareness to where the blockage is. And I'm going to change my angles, and you can feel the difference even if that slight change of angle. So to actually get good at this requires a good tuning into Qi, because otherwise I find people that aren't tuning into Qi, they really can't understand the importance of this point. Yeah. And they can't, if you're only looking at the physical level, I can't even feel physically the tension at this point. But if you don't have that awareness of Qi, what a person can do is come through here, and especially just above the knuckle, the first knuckle, you can really easily feel on a physical level that tension. Yeah.
I can definitely feel it.
Yeah, and it's quite a sore point for a lot of people, especially anybody who's got that tightness coming up there. And then you can go, okay, is what I'm doing by rubbing over this releasing it or not? And if it's not, then you know that it's held higher up, and it could be held here, but in almost all cases, in my experience, it's held here.
Yeah, and that's a different sensation.
Yeah.
That's like, it's equally as intense, but
it's actually moving it, and that's the difference.
It's not a raw pain, it's
yeah.
Yeah,
because if I just rub here,
it's more beneficial.
Yeah, that's right. This will be what I call a bad pain, because I'm not actually, when you rub a band and you don't release it, it causes bad pain. You're just aggravating it, really. But when you actually find the root of the tension and get rid of it, and then work each anchor point like a series of dominoes, it's actually good pain, because you're actually accessing the tension and moving it. Yeah. And that feels, yes, it feels painful, but it feels good because you're releasing stuff. And so that's what we're really trying to do. And then you'll feel it all the way up as well as we release here. Like if I did this on every toe, you'd feel all the energy move on all the different bands, which would then also, of course, affect in Chinese medicine the meridians and tie the sen lines and alleviate the nadis, all these subtle energy channels that these cultures have known about for a long time. It's good, just keep that deep breathing going. So the deep breathing, why I start off with a head massage and deep breathing is, the head massage can stop people having what I call a controlling mind, because we have a mind sometimes that even wants to portray ourselves in a particular way, or whether it be the I'm okay Jack, don't worry, like you were saying in the email, all they care about is you basically telling them, yeah, I'm fine, but underneath it you could be going, fuck, I'm wanting to kill myself, you know? So we want to get rid of what I call the social mask, and then we want to give people deep breathing. And the deep breathing with the, what I call non-judgmental frame of mind, is going to allow then this energy to move that's trapped in here at the very ends of the band. And it's going to actually allow the entire band to open, and all the, you know, whether we call it toxic energy or toxic chi, whatever's causing tension, to actually let go. And that letting go is going to be through things like the breath. And if it's emotional, it can be through crying, it can be through screaming. So you can see now as I proceed along this band, you can feel this point is, you know, I know it's intense, right? Do you feel that? You feel it an intensity?
Oh, it's very, very intense.
Yeah. So again, I'm moderating my pressure because I'm aware of the intensity, but I'm doing things like even holding a spot there and just putting my energy in through that chopstick, and then a very slight movement. And if what I'm doing isn't effective at moving the blockage in this point, I would come back to that tip. So a lot of this stuff is, you could call subtle in nature, but it's obviously very intense for you. You know, obviously I'm working you right up at your pain threshold.
Yeah. And
a lot of people don't understand. How can, you know, a little toe hurt so much? But we have a lot of nerves in our toes, but it's not just about nerves. This is about life energy as well, which is causing the tension. Nerves don't cause tension necessarily. And that's why I like Chinese medicine or Ayurveda and their explanations of the human body, because it's way beyond just physical. And notice I'm moving up this band, you know, at millimeters at a time, basically, making sure. So if I've got 30% of the tension out of this point, I should then be able to release 30% out of that band as it goes. And so I'm not always expecting 100% in one go. I might come back and forth and get a bit out at a time. And especially as my limiting factor is often how much can the person breathe into, and you know, which is affected by how intense it is, their pain threshold, and their desire to get better. So now I'm coming back for like a second wave, and I'm going in deeper into that spot and figuring out exactly where I don't want to make it over your 10, but I'm wanting you to get the best results from the treatment. So I'm going to be pushing you to near your 10. How's that for you there?
That's good.
Yeah, good. I'll let you just breathe into it and process it. And I'm going to change my angle slightly. So you can feel even the slight, you can hardly even see the slight change, but you feel it, don't you? Every time I like move like that. And it's moving, it's making it that the blocked energy can't stay there.
You know, a lot of energy's moved upwards.
You're feeling the energy, it's all moving.
Yeah, the hands,
yeah,
tingly, and
deep
breathing, and with probably, hyperventilation, for want of a better word. Maybe that's a contributing factor. The tingliness, but it's also just in the hands.
Yeah, so the tingling that people get in their hands is actually, from my perspective, it's the stuck energy that's been held by these anchor points of the bands. As the bands start to let go, some of it's going to come out through the breath, while some of it can experience like when a dam bursts, there's so much energy moving that pulls in people's faces and in their fingers. And it first of all is a tingle, and then it can turn into like a tetany, which is like an involuntary muscle contracture of the hand. So you can see there, I'm just going, I'm trying to find that spot that's not overwhelming for you, but that's kind of, you're feeling it. Oh, sorry. And I can give her a little rest from the chopstick and just use my thumb just to caress it gently. And at the same, beautiful click there. Yeah. Yeah, so, So now I can come in and move that toe around a little bit more. And again, this was one of your tighter bands, or if not your tightest band, so of course it's going to also be more intense. But I'll come back into this spot here and let you just breathe in and process more of that trapped energy. And again, I'm just then using my thumb to give a bit of a movement so that the chopstick's very specific, but my thumb can then just also kind of caressing it. So while I'm at the little toe, I'm going to do all of the 4 bands that come from it. So I'm going to come into here. Then I might stretch that little toe. And then I'm going to come along the other side too, which is also quite fun. And we can also come in through the back here a little bit. You can feel
Very
that.
sharp.
Yeah, you can feel how tight that is. I'm going to change over to use the Thai massage tool. It's not getting a bit lower. This is what I call the bottom little toe band in here. And this is one that could be really influencing your lower back pain.
Yeah, it is. I can actually feel like going.
Yeah.
Rotating from the foot down.
Yeah, yeah. Catch your breath a bit, because obviously we're working you pretty hard here. So I'm going to let you breathe.